welcome to the Heels and Quads Wrestling Podcast.
A fully loaded edition.
Yeah. About one of the greatest pay-per-views of all time. WCW's New Blood Rising.
What day is it again?
Tuesday. Monday. It's Monday. Oh, shit.
When you're down in the dumps and you need something to bring you.
Hey Domino's, if you want to sponsor the show for giving Levi the shits at 2 a.m., you can email us at heelsandquads@gmail.com.
And everybody's just having a good old fucking time here. They're having a great time at Bash at the Beach.
Because it was free.
Yeah.
Yeah, now.
The show must go on, but things must go wrong.
I wanted to have a fucking puke bucket next to me and be like, oh my god, he's gonna puke.
There's something wrong with me. I'm gonna go, look, dude, I'm in a big league again.
Look, dude, do you know who I am and do you know how much money I've made doing it?
Wrestling is so fucking stupid, dude. God, I love it.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
What's up, guys, and welcome to the Happy Halloween edition of the Heels and Quads Wrestling Podcast. Today we're going to talk about spooky wrestlers. I am, of course, Levi with...
And I'm Tommy.
And we are going to do a little top 10 ski of the spooky wrestling gimmicks. Spooky.
Spooky.
Spooky. Like those people with like a bad, like they're kind of dumb Southern accent. They just spooked me. It spooked me.
It was a spooker.
Spooked. Is it a spoke in your bicycle tire, or did it spook you?
No,
it spooked me.
I didn't have a baseball card in the spokes of my bicycle. We're recording this early in the morning. Like when we first started talking, the sun wasn't even out. Like there was no light outside.
Yeah.
It was dark still.
Yeah.
So it was really spooky then. So now it's not as spooky.
It was spooky.
It was spooky. But we're going to try to make it a little more spooky with the top 10 horror-related wrestling gimmicks. If wrestling can
There's 10.
There's 10.
Yeah, and there is just about 10 that are spooky. Also, before we get started, I'd like to mention this is a part of the SlashNCast Podcast Network, the Halloween Virtual Convention. The SlashNCast Podcast Network, I'm going to list all this off here. There's got a ton of horror podcasts on here. And, you know, we are big horror fans ourselves, but we are the wrestling show of this, so we got to bring what we can to the table for them. So we're going to talk about spooky wrestlers. But first, spooky, I'm going to list off all the shows just in case you guys don't know or you're looking for something new to listen to. Here is all the shows on the SlashNCast Podcast Network. We got Make Every Death Count, The Silver Screen Scream Show, SlasherCast, The Lane Shift, where things get freaky and geeky, The Scream Queens, Bloody Date Night, Dead in Santa Carla. I always love that name just because it's the Lost Boys. I think it's the Lost Boys.
It is.
If it's not, I don't know. Yeah.
They always
Eroticosaurus.
They always share Lost Boys gifs on Twitter.
Okay, perfect. Eroticosaurus, the Heels and Quads Wrestling Podcast. A Little Mad Podcast. Frightful Failures Podcast. We watched a movie, Mike and Jay. Just like the movies, we came from beneath the sea. So horrified. Crystal Lake Soldiers Podcast. Kill the Dead. Punk Rock Horror Podcast. Hunters Podcast. 3B Deep Cut Podcast. The Conjecturing. The Trick or Treaters Podcast. The Sea Files. Apocalypse in Review. And SlashNCast. And Murder Moose podcast. It looks like there is a new one there. I think.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
They
that
just
one.
added
Murder
them.
Moose.
I want to say the end of last week.
Okay, nice.
Also,
so yeah, those are all the.
Before we move on, I wanted to mention, because we failed to mention on this week's actual podcast, which we did the entire Nightmare on Elm Street series. If you didn't watch it or listen to it, go back in the archives and listen or watch that. And I wanted to mention that this year we do a Hall of Fame every year. This year it's the 3rd annual Hills and Quads Wrestling Podcast Hall of Fame. And the first inductees I announced this week, or we announced this week, will be Mike and Jay from We Watched a Movie. They'll be with us in Montego Bay, Jamaica, from the Cinnamon Ballroom.
The Cinnamon Ballroom. That's right, the Cinnamon Ballroom. So this will all be all of those shows I talked about, what Tommy mentioned. Not that show. You have to go back and listen to that one. But this one you're listening to right now, you should already know, but this is part of the virtual Halloween convention on the SlashNCast network. So it's like a day or two marathon, or basically the whole day of just this stuff, these podcasts and their Halloween special.
So when this airs on Saturday, actually Halloween, you'd already had an evening at least of the SlashNCast virtual Halloween convention. It started at 5:00 Eastern time last night in real time, because this is Saturday, and then we're on Saturday, and then it goes throughout the day on Saturday. So if you're watching now, keep watching, and if you didn't catch yesterday's, you can go back on SlashNCast and watch day one.
And with that said, let's go ahead and get started on our top 10 spooky wrestling gimmicks, top 10 scary wrestling gimmicks, just top 10 horror-based wrestling gimmicks.
Yes. From of any era. It doesn't have to be today. Because, I mean, there's not 10 right now. But
no.
I would say mostly the golden era of wrestling. Think early 90s WWF, because that's basically when the characters, there were actual gimmicks. There's really only a few now. But anyways. So I'll start because you started the Nightmare on Elm Street.
I started the name.
So that's our thing. We like to go back and forth. So top 10 horror-related wrestling gimmicks. My number 10, from the early 90s, Papa Shango. And I picked him because, obviously, the voodoo gimmick, very Live and Let Die-esque of James Bond.
Yeah.
That's what it always reminded me of.
Even as it gets me. Yeah.
Even as a kid, because I remember in that movie, it was really weird because you didn't understand it, especially as a kid. I didn't know what the fuck voodoo was. So then you come into WWF in 1992, I guess is when, maybe late 91 is when he made his debut. I don't know. I'm going off the cuff here.
It's something like that.
But the voodoo thing, and his music was spooky, and he came to the ring and he had like the necklace with, and the
bones
staff
and all that.
Yeah, the bones. So I mean, he was spooky then. I remember. I mean, I wasn't scared of him, but it was kind of weird. It made you feel uneasy.
He made his first appearance on May 28th, 91 at a WWF Superstars of Wrestling taping in Tucson, Arizona.
Okay.
So 91 was his first appearance in the Fed.
But obviously most people remember Papa Shango being the there it is. The person that when he got to the Ultimate Warrior, made him throw up and all that stuff, and he was like convulsing and everything, and then, and then it was like it kind of just went away, because I mean, like, he was supposed to have this long program with the Warrior, and then all of a sudden he's gone because Warrior
his feud was with Taker after that, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think he had
that little feud, or was that? I think it was after that. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was after that.
Yeah.
And then he goes on and he becomes Kama, and then he becomes the Godfather later on, Charles Wright.
Yeah.
At one point, I guess in the Attitude Era, before he became the Godfather, he was supposed to be Papa Shango again. And they did all these tests. They did a test photo shoot. and they ended up not going with it. But I'm glad they didn't, because the Godfather ended up being a classic character in wrestling.
Yeah. I mean, he's still loved today. So Kamo is the one Undertaker feuded with.
Yeah.
It wasn't Papa Shango. That's
the MMA gimmick.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So that's my number 10, Papa Shango.
And my number 10 is for those people out there who are a little spooked by clowns. I went with Doink the Clown. Because...
He almost made my list. I kicked him off, but he almost made my list.
Yeah, I went with it. And that's why he's at number 10. Because it's not like... Because those people who don't like clowns, like any clown is spooky. They don't like them. They don't like clowns. They're just scared to death. And that's why he made number 10. Also, it's a very slim list to make. There's not a lot of horror gimmicks because horror needs special effects and wrestling doesn't have a whole lot of special effects.
And when they try, they fail miserably most of the time.
They fail miserably. Yeah. But that's why I went with Doink, and he's just a classic character. Golden era, like Tommy mentioned. There's quite a few of them on here.
He was the end of the golden into the new generation. But when he was when he was the scary, it was more of still the golden era, the tail end of it.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, that's about it. Just for all the clown freaks out there. I don't remember what that phobia is called. I'll have to look at it, but yeah. Doink the Clown is number 10.
All right. My number 9, Vampiro. Because obviously a horror list, Vampiro, take off of a vampire, which I never really saw him as that, but I guess maybe like his earlier stuff before we saw him later on in WCW, I guess probably in AAA when he was down in Mexico still. That might have been more of a horror gimmick, but obviously we remember him more from WCW and his long feud with Sting that we never thought would end. But I mean, he had his moments where he could be spooky-ish. You know, he had the graveyard match with the demon and the Kiss demon, and the match with Sting when he throws Sting off the top of not the Titantron because it was WCW, their big screen, and throws him off, and ended up being a stunt guy. We found out later on, but at the time it looked fucking real. And that was probably actually one of the cooler moments.
Stuff.
And he did the thing with the Misfits and all that stuff.
So yeah, Vampiro. Well, my number 9 is your number 10, Papa Shango, and he's a little lower on the list, kind of for the same reasons as you. It's just like it was a creepy voodoo character, but kind of like you said, any voodoo related stuff, I just think of Live and Let Die.
Yeah.
Like pretty much anything, but especially Papa Shango, because it's just like...
heart was an open book. You used to say, live and let live. You know, I always kind of wish the Guns N' Roses version would have been on that movie.
Yeah, it was a little before, though.
But Paul McCartney and Wings was pretty cool, too. Paul McCartney's still cool, by the way.
So yeah, I guess there's not much to talk about with the number 9. My number 9 being Papa Shango. I do have the Classics figure. I still have that figure.
Do you really?
Papa Shango one. Yeah.
See, I
still have the Legend. What is it? Was it the Legends or like
it was
like 15 years ago? Classics. Yeah. That's the one I have.
The only Classics I ever got was the Series 1 Shawn Michaels with the white tights from 12. But I remember having the Papa Shango Hasbro.
Okay.
When I was I was a teeny youngster.
Little teen ski.
But yeah, I'd love to have for the kids to have a Papa Shango. I think they made a Mattel Elite.
They probably. I think they did actually. I think I saw it at Walmart. As a matter of fact, I have I had my crates of wrestlers separate. I had Raw, SmackDown, and then I have a Legends crate. And the Legends one, it's like a bunch of the classics, or I have the Hulk Hogan one with the early 80s or 70s belt, the one that's that weird shape.
Oh yeah,
and he's wearing the Hulkamania shirt. It's
belt.
Yeah, it's like the early Hulkamania type stuff. But anyways, yeah, Papa Shango, number 9, voodoo guy.
All right, my number 8 is going to throw everybody off a bit because he's a newer character. Not known for people that just watch WWE, AEW, even New Japan, but he has made some appearances for Ring of Honor. He's very nice, but he's also very evil, and that's Danhausen.
Oh.
Anybody that feeds their opponent's teeth belongs on the horror-related wrestling gimmicks.
Yeah. That's right. You were on the Hausen thing for a while.
Oh man, we're still on it. He's one of 2 Patreon that I subscribe to. Danhausen and we watched a movie. Those are the only 2.
Danhausen. All right. We can roll with that. What am I at? 7?
8. You're at 8.
That's 8. Okay. My number 8 is maybe a little low on the list, but for a decent reason. But Vampiro, because he just didn't have. I think I haven't seen enough of it, but either way, he's in the top 10. And also because I love vampires. And the Vampiro gimmick, I was always into. I've always been into it. It's just a cool... He's not too vampire-ish.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a corny... It's not Kevin Thorne. And...
he did not make my list,
which
by the
wasn't
way.
Bad. Yeah, he did not make my list. But Vampiro, a little low on the list. But I've always liked his style and the gimmick, especially.
He
and
was
his
a
wrestling's
legit
not
good.
Bad, but
He was a good wrestler, legit.
Yeah, he was a good wrestler. He has some good matches in there, but it's hard to find those in the year 2000 WCW. But there is other Vampiro outside of 2000 WCW, like you said, AAA, and I think he primarily works with like AAA, and then he was also with Lucha Underground.
He did commentary for Lucha.
Yeah. But anyways, Vampiro number 8.
All right, my number 7. Let me look at the list. By the way, we put this together with like no time whatsoever, so it's a little that's why. Number 7, Luna Vachon. I don't know what it was about Luna when I was a kid, and now I get it, but Luna always freaked me out a little bit.
Yeah,
the shaved head with the tattoos on the side. Whether it be when she was with Shawn Michaels or Bam Bam Bigelow, or just being by herself, or with the artist formerly known as Goldust with the ball gag and all that shit.
Goldust.
She was a cool character though, man. And like, in that time when she was with Goldust, she feuded with Sable. She was, I mean, that was a big spot to have. But I think they had to have Luna in that spot because they needed a veteran to carry Sable through that.
Because she was green.
Oh, greener than good shit.
Beyond green, yeah. But Luna, that's a good pick. Luna's definitely. She was a spooky one I didn't even think of. Like it's just creepy because she's like just weird and crazy.
She's got
and
that
like,
real
you don't
raspy
know.
voice.
Oh yeah. So,
but she was also kind of like in a. Ooh, Pootski. She was also kind of like attractive in a weird way.
In a very weird way.
In a weird way. Like you're like on the niche kind of. You're like
I would just to see.
Just because I could get down with
is
that.
Is it half shaved? Is there tattoos?
Does she have like lightning tattoos going across?
Yeah.
Like, what's up with that?
All
Anyways,
right.
Luna, number 7.
Right. So my number 7 is, I probably should have put it a little lower on the list, but it's a collective, the Dungeon of Doom. And it's like it's just a throwback and a tribute to just corny.
Well, the fucking storyline is scary.
yeah. The storyline's rough, but it's Kevin Sullivan. It's Kamala. Oh God, the giant
Ming, Barbarian.
being the Barbarian, who is Brutus Beefcake, right? Isn't that Brutus Beefcake, the Barbarian?
Brutus was the Zodiac. And,
the Zodiac, that's right.
One of his many
So,
gimmicks.
anyways, yeah, it's a collective of just the cheesiest possible gimmicks and the cheesiest possible horror and scary stuff.
Yeah.
So
you could have put Ed Leslie on here as just himself.
Yeah.
Brother Brood.
So yeah, number 7, the Dungeon of Doom. It's it's a little callback.
My number 6.
Okay, that's my number 6. Yeah. Yeah. Gangrel.
I gotta add the music in here because that's the shit, man.
Dude, that's a cool song, man.
Yeah.
I really like that song.
I remember when WWF The Music Volume 3 came out. It was 3, right? Was it 3 or 4?
Yeah, it was 3.
Was on? Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was 3. Because 4 was like 2000.
Okay.
With like My Time, Triple H, and all
Taz.
that.
Yeah, but I remember when it came out, I got it from Walmart. And like, that was the first. Well, I put on DX first. DX was first. I listened to that. And then fucking The Brood, dude. That song today, I mean, you go anywhere in like a wrestling forum or Twitter or wherever, and people still talk about The Brood song, about how fucking cool it was. There it is.
Can you hear it? Yeah. The breathing and shit. I don't know what it's saying.
I just say, oh yeah,
saying,
just in a weird breathy voice.
Like, I thought it was like, oh, be ready, be ready. Like I don't know. That's weird, but yeah,
as well, so. Gangrel, because not Edge and Christian so much, because even though they were kind of
cool
weird,
vampire.
But yeah, Gangrel was cool,
sweet,
and he always had a fucking smile on his face too. That's what always got me.
With the fucking teeth, yeah.
And the goblet, drink from drink from the goblet of my cock.
Yeah. Shout out to Peter Steele, Hall of Famer.
Yeah. He was a Quads Hall of Famer last year.
He was a Quads Hall of Famer, the Hog Wing.
Was he the Hog Wing, or was he something?
He was
else?
the Hog Wing, I think.
He was the Hog Wing?
He was the Hog Wing. Yeah. I believe so.
Because the music wing last year was Paul Stanley's voice, not Paul Stanley.
Just his voice. Well, we can't get the rights to his.
Well, no.
Him.
But I can do the. How's everybody feeling? You feeling good? All right. Every time I do that,
Gangrel's number 6.
Yeah, Gangrel.
Gangrel is
frilly shirt, dude. And he'd spit the blood.
The frilly shirt.
And then it'll be all over.
Spits the blood out. It goes. It's like just everywhere. And he was just Gangrel had good matches.
Yeah,
good matches. And then he made like a weird comeback in like 2004.
Yeah, it was like a
and he was wearing that bluish frilly shirt.
It was a rando comeback.
He came back on SmackDown, I believe it was.
Yep.
Yeah. And he had the blue frilly shirt, and then I think he did some porn and directing in between that.
He did.
So,
and he was married to Luna in real life before she.
And he was married to Luna. Yep. Now he has a wrestling school in Florida. Which they do matches and stuff. But Gangrel's awesome, man.
He still wrestles. He does indie shows.
Yeah, he does, and he does his thing.
Yeah.
And he does his little wrestling school thing. They do live shows at that at some point.
He actually, right before COVID happened, he wrestled Danhausen.
Oh, really? That's perfect.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome. Gangrel could have been higher on my list just because of how much I love that. But it's a vampire gimmick, and the lights went down. Like just everything about it.
Came up through the ring of fire.
Red lights. Yeah, dude, it's so cool, man. If nothing else,
I actually feel bad about making him number 6. Check out. You know?
Yeah, I kind of want to put him higher, dude.
Well, let's think. We'll go through it, and then we'll decide where we'd actually put him, because he's both of our number 6.
I can swap him with my number. I can swap him with like my number 4 or 5, easy.
Yeah, I could probably switch him with 5, easy. 4, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll go through it, and then we'll decide. We'll make a final decision on Gangrel.
Okay.
Number 5. the original incarnation of mankind. I mean, any Mick Foley
You have to.
character other than, I mean, Dude Love, you're not going to put him on this list. But, I mean, I could even see you putting Cactus Jack on here because he was so reckless.
Just crazy. Like, he just didn't care. He's fucking crazy.
You know who I didn't put on here, but now that I'm talking about it, I kind of think of it, is Chainsaw Charlie, Terry Funk's character from 99. It's like, or 98.
It's not scary.
Yeah, but I mean, you could kind of put him because he had the chainsaw and Leatherface-esque, but you also know it's Terry Funk.
There was a Leatherface wrestler.
Yeah, in Japan, dude. It was weird. They had a Jason one, too. There's you can actually find it on YouTube. It's Jason versus Leatherface from Japan.
But
yeah, Mankind, the original, not when he started wearing the tie, but like the brown, like doo-doo brown suit with the sweatpants.
Yeah.
Back when he would stab himself in the knee with the pen when he faced Shawn
Pull
Michaels
his hair out and
Gowns.
shit like that. Yeah.
The fucking promos when he's like talking to the rat and stuff, and it was just it was weird.
It's a really good one, dude.
Yeah.
It's a really good one.
But that's 5. Mankind.
All right. My number 5 is, well, it's gotta be Kane.
That's
because
Kane
is he's from the depths of hell. He's the Undertaker's brother, kayfabe brother. And he's been through some, obviously, even Kane without the mask, the bald Kane, like he's just a psycho. So it's like, it even that's spooky, creepy, whatever. But the original Kane was really cool because he didn't talk. And then when he did talk, finally, it was the vocal, like, I will set myself on fire. And Stone Cold's like, well, you can rest assured that fire goes out, old Stone Cold will be there to throw another log on it.
What?
When Stone Cold said he'd throw another log on the fire if fucking Kane was burning, that it was just so good. But
see,
anyways,
you doing Stone Cold's voice at 8:05 a.m. makes me want a beer.
Yeah.
Throw another log on.
I could throw another log on fire.
Oh, Stone Cold, stomp a mud hole in your ass and walk it dry. What?
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 I want some White Castle burgers. Fucking Stone Cold E.T.
Fucking Stone Cold E.T., dude. Love that motherfucker.
He's good. Anyways, Kane. Yeah, Kane is number 5 because he's from hell. He's got the fire suit. He comes out, he does this, and the fire blows out of the ring.
Shoots lightning out
hell.
of his ass.
He's like a little demon spawn. Yeah, he's burnt, supposedly, but he's not because he takes his mask off and his face is fine. He was Dr. Isaac Yankem DDS, so... Yeah. Like, he takes his mask off and it's just
do you think Vince ever sat there like in the meeting and he's like, you know what? Before we take your mask off, Kane, let's really burn your face.
No, because there's no logic with Vince McMahon, so that didn't happen.
No, that's what I'm saying.
For people like us.
He would have thought that, though, because he's fucking crazy.
Yeah. You would have totally. Yeah. Let's set your face on fire and Stone Cold can throw another log on it.
He's gonna puke.
He's gonna puke. And my number 4 is Draws. No, I'm just kidding.
My number 4 is D'Lo Brown. No. We are on 4, right? Yes.
4, yes.
My number 4 is a current gimmick. The Fiend.
All right, that's my number 4.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That worked out.
Yep. Just wanted to make sure before you said it. Yeah, that's my number 4.
It's more of a psychological thing with the Fiend, though. It's not so much the mask, which I get. It's spooky. Tom Savini
but it is still horror-esque.
Yeah. Tom Savini designed the belt when he was champion, so that was cool. And it lasted a whole, 2 weeks, that belt, and they put it up on
around, and it was like $5,000.
WWE shop for like $5,000 or $6,000, and I think 2 people bought it. Which those 2 people, if you want to sponsor the show, hit us up patreon.com/heels.
You obviously have enough money.
Sign up for the $1 tier, and I'll show you my toenails. But yeah, I mean, it's more of a. What's that? He's still bumping the brood. You can listen to that on the way to work. Just
definitely.
The window down and stared up all the way. What's up?
People are like, all the frats and sororities are looking at me like, what the fuck is it? I got vampire teeth. I spit blood out the window.
Some drunk dude in the gutter driving by all the college.
Yeah, I'm like, spit on him.
Fuck that guy.
Anyways, The Fiend, modern wrestling horror-esque gimmick. The mask is creepy. It is psychological. Like even the Firefly Funhouse, like that was just a psychological.
Man. It gets in your head, man.
But it was good.
Yeah,
you know.
And there's, a couple of great promos.
And that's what.
Even during COVID times, where you could kind of see where it would fuck with somebody.
Yeah.
So that makes it scary. It's almost like Freddy. He's in your dreams. You can't fucking control it. You can't control the Fiend because he just pops up whenever the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
All right. So that was both of our number
also
4s.
Looks like that was both our number 4. It also looks like the Fiend and Randy Orton are gonna get back at it. So
yay. Anyways, that's another podcast for another time. Number 3.
Yeah.
I'm the Boogeyman, and I'm coming to get ya. Dude, that's one of those gimmicks that even Vince knows was fucking gold and keeps bringing it back for one-offs. So eating the fucking worms, and he ate the mole off Jillian Hall's face, spitting the worms on Charmel in her mouth and shit. His feud with King Booker was actually pretty cool. But that's one of the. He was legit creepy. I wouldn't say scary, but he could creep you out and make you feel uneasy.
It was creepy. Yeah. And then they in the later year, and as the years went by, they kind of just made it so.
Dumb.
But
yeah,
because it was always like a comical type thing.
Yeah,
it wasn't like spooky like when it first came out, because he really. It was the feud with Booker, like that was the intro to the Boogeyman, and it was good. And then it was just like, well, they ruined it after that. So,
and he's a good wrestler too. His matches weren't like 5 stars or anything.
No, but he had some good ones with Booker and whoever else after. I don't remember a lot of it, but it's definitely like. And of course, he still makes one-off appearances on Halloween stuff, or like Raw 25 or whatever.
Yeah, he did the Hardy Halloween. He was on that.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. So, anyways, all right.
That's my number
3. My number 3. I switched it with number 2. I think I got to bring it down a notch. It was number 2. I'm going with Sting, because the first year or two of the Crow gimmick. Well, I call it the Crow gimmick, but the black and white.
It's the Crow fucking gimmick.
Yeah, he's hanging out in the rafters, and he doesn't talk. And it was just a year build up to the match with Hulk Hogan, which was definitely a letdown, which fucking sucks. They got a lot of buys, but it was a big letdown. But anyways, the gimmick, when he was that Sting, it was good, and it was just. He was silent. He came out, and you never knew when he was going to show up, and he'd hit him with the bat, or he'd hit him with the Scorpion Death Drop, and Hogan was always like, no! Like, he was always all scared and shit. And then also, all Sting gimmicks had their own little, craziness to them.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to TNA, later on in the TNA days, like 2012-ish, I think it's late 2011 or I think it's late 2011 through like 2014-ish. He had the Joker Sting gimmick where he was like crazy. And he had the Joker face paint and all that. But So
basically Sting just liked to rip off popular movies.
I guess.
Usually 2 years too late. The Crow and the Dark Knight Joker, Heath Ledger, which that's
Dark
basically
Knight
all
Joker.
He did was rip off Heath
Yeah.
Ledger. But I get it though, because I remember when Hogan turned.
Like, it didn't scare me, but it's
no.
list,
but it's horror related because it's the Crow. And the Crow is comic book horror or graphic novel horror. But I remember when Hogan turned, and it was like you were waiting for Sting to, get to him. And I mean, obviously I was always a Hulk Hogan fan, but like I was still like wanting Sting to get his, and just waiting.
It was a great story.
Every week you're like, is he going to fucking like talk, say something? I want him to talk.
Yeah.
And there was only the one time when he had the original black and white, when it was like still that Sting kind of face paint.
Yeah.
When he's basically saying fuck off, and then he goes up into the rafters, and that's it. And then for a fucking year, nothing.
Yeah.
Until Starrcade in the popcorn fart match.
So, anyways, Sting is 3. Number 2.
It's gotta be Kane. Because it's Kane.
Yeah.
So, but when I think of scary wrestlers, Kane was pretty fucking terrifying. The glass eye looking thing, and obviously probably a contact because Glenn Jacobs looks normal.
The earliest incarnation of Kane was
97 like Hell in a Cell Kane, when he rips the fucking door off the hinge and goes in there and tombstones the Undertaker and all that shit. And that whole build up to WrestleMania 14.
Yeah, that's good. And it's him versus Undertaker at 14. And then there's the Inferno match in 98.
Right.
I can remember, I think it is my first memory of wrestling is Kane. I was watching it at my friend Zach's house, and his mom had taped it. They watched wrestling or whatever. He had to have been like 2 and I was 4. Like, we were little.
You had to get him in there, didn't you? You just had to say his fucking name.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It's okay.
And
he's a Hall of Famer, too. So.
Yeah, he is a Hall of Famer. Kane was on TV, and I remember, I just remember saying to him, that guy's going to come in your room tonight. Like, and that's all I remember of it, because I was trying to scare him because he was 2 and I was 4. But
at least you didn't say that guy's going to come in your ass tonight.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad I didn't say that. Which I was about a year away from knowing what that was. So
4 to 5, that big jump,
I mean, yeah. So, anyways, that's yeah. Okay.
All right.
This is my turn.
Yeah.
All right, my number 2. My number 2 was one of your earlier picks. It is the first incarnation of Mankind.
Ooh.
The brown suit, the mask. He's pulling his hair out. Wee, like that shit. Like, he's just fucking psychotic, dude. But he would put his body through whatever to try to win the match. Like, that guy. I mean, in the Mankind thing in the Fed, when he came there, this wasn't the first time he had been putting his body through some shit. It had been happening in WCW and Japan, ECW.
Yeah, he was already in rough shape when he came in.
Yeah, he was already beat up. And then, his first year or two, and we get the Undertaker versus Mankind in the Boiler Room Brawl. And then we get the Buried Alive match. And we get Mind Games with Shawn Michaels, which we did a couple weeks ago. You can look back and check that out. Just the early Mankind was really good. And even when he went to the white shirt with tie, before he became all funny and shit, he had some moments where he was just fucking psychotic. Yeah, Hell in a Cell. I mean, watch that match. That match is terrifying to watch because the bumps that are taken in it. So anyways, yeah, Mankind's number 2 because he's a legend. So he has to be there. And number 1, I assume,
yeah. We can collectively say it. The Undertaker.
Oh, mine's not Taker.
Really?
No. No. Who else would it be?
Fucking kid, man. The people love it.
Kid. And honorable mention is the Lizard Kid. You love that.
Dude, that's my favorite GIF of all time.
Yeah, I can tell. All right, so anyways, The Undertaker. Yeah. I think most people, even in wrestling, a lot of people outside of wrestling know The Undertaker, and especially in a horror genre. Like, he is the dead man, and it's been around for so long, since Survivor Series 1991, right?
1990.
1990, yeah, because then they did This Tuesday in Texas. Yeah. But man, he's been around for so long. He was the original dead man, purple gloves, all that, till about 96 or 97. It was 97 when then he changed over to like the Ministry-ish one. Mm-hmm. And then from 97 to 98, he was still the Undertaker dead man, but he was that on the verge of the Ministry. 99, that's when they did the Ministry of Darkness into 2000. Took a hiatus 2000. He came back as the American Badass through 2003. It was Survivor Series 2003 that he got buried alive. And then at WrestleMania 20 in 2004, he came back as the Dead Man. And he's been the Dead Man ever since. Yeah. He's been the Dead Man ever since, but there's been different, outfits. But either way, he's always been the Dead. Even when he was the American Badass, he was the fucking Dead Man. Yeah. He's always been.
Booger Red.
Booger Red. I don't understand that. Booger Red shit. I really don't get it. But anyways, yeah. So just Taker, man. The legacy is just, and if it was a list of legendary wrestlers too, like he'd probably still be at the top because the dude has the longest fucking run.
We're coming up November.
Longest mainstream run.
November this year. So tomorrow when you're watching this.
Like 30 years.
30 years of The Undertaker Survivor Series this year. So actually, I think that might be a good one for us to do, the debut of The Undertaker this year.
I think we should. We should just
I think that would be cool because we haven't done a early 90s.
No.
Maybe not ever.
Because he debuted and beat Hogan, right? Isn't that how it worked?
He debuted in the Survivor Series as Ted DiBiase's Mystery Man. Then 91 he beat Hogan.
That's right. And then they did this. That's what I was thinking of, is him beating Hogan. Yeah, so 90. Yeah, 30 years of Taker, man. That's fucking crazy. But Undertaker is the Dead Man. If nothing else, you got to check him out, too. If you don't know who Undertaker is, you got to watch him and just see what he's all about because he is the OG horror gimmick. As far as mainstream goes, I'm sure there's some others out there. I'm sure there's wrestling elitists. They're like, yeah, well, you never heard of fucking Leatherhead hockey guy? Yeah, well, he's tough, and he's an AJJFW.
That you almost sound like you're doing a Terry Funk impression. Funk.
Well, I'm not gonna cry.
I want you there, man.
I want you there, man. I want you there.
But Terry, I'm not booked.
But I want you there.
But I want you there.
But hopefully, if you enjoyed this, you'll subscribe to us, Heels and Quads Wrestling Podcast on YouTube. Wherever you listen to podcasts, Heels and Quads Wrestling Podcast. Patreon.com/Heels and Quads. Obviously, SlashNCast.net.
CollarandElbowBrand.com. Coupon code Heels and Quads and all caps at checkout. Save 10% on your order. ProWrestlingTees.com/Heels and Quads. That's where you can find our merch. FullyLoadedShoe.com. Coupon code HeelPod10 at checkout. Save you 10% on your order. And what's the last one? Man Can Wine. If you're a man and you're a fan of the can, go to mancanwine.com. Use coupon code Heels and Quads in all caps at checkout and save 25% on your order as well as free shipping.
And for all
have a happy Halloween.
And for all you CBD freaks out there, go greenhemp.com. Heels and Quads in all caps at checkout saves you 15% off your entire order. Obviously, Twitter, Heels and Quads on Twitter, Heels and Quads Wrestling Podcast on Instagram, Facebook too sometimes. Actually, Facebook's been doing pretty well actually lately. We're up on Facebook, but mostly Twitter is where we do most of our stuff. Instagram's like a picture, and then we just say what's coming up this week. If you're new to the podcast this week, from New Japan, from Talking Shop. The hashtag worst podcast ever, Talking Shop. We will have this Monday Rocky Romero joining the show. And then the next week we have another guest, but I can't announce that just yet.
All right. Well, I hope everybody has a happy Halloween and be sure to tell your friends.
Tell your enemies.
And we'll talk to you guys next time.
Happy Halloween.